I had to cut the original motor shaft. It was a piece of 1/2 inch. I made new extensions using some 12mm rod from an old printer. This is a bell housing, a bell end of the dehumidifier fan deck motor. It used to have spherical plain bearings on the motor shaft that ran in a spider arrangement that was cast into the bell ends that looked something like that. The ball ran in that dome section there, and then there was like a tin plate other side of the dome, and then a spring clip that went over that and clipped in around the edges there. Those bearings were fucked, so I machined out this spider back to the bare bell end, and the actual rubber suspension mounts fit on these teeth around here, and that's not necessarily particularly concentric two things, it's just bare cast. Inside there was a semi-machined surface, but I set up in the chuck off the inside of this housing to get that to run fairly true, to machine the centre of it. Then that left, there's the new bearings, 1/2 inch by 1 1/8. Now that was way too small for that big hole left by machining out this. So I then machined up these bearing holders, which are a neat fit in the housing there, and I can't press it in with one hand, it is quite a tight fit, and then the bearing will fit inside that. And they don't need to be a press fit, they just need to be a tight sliding fit, because the motor shaft can grow a little bit as it warms up and things, and those bearings can have a slight amount of end play to take that up. So I hadn't shown the ball race modification I'd made to these bell ends on the previous video, and hopefully that explains where I'm going. I also had issues with it seemed to be binding up and not having enough torque to start the motor. I think that was partly because one of these bearings wasn't pressing tight into this housing, and I've just had that out. I use removable Loctite between this aluminium piece I machined and the casing, and I removed that just now using a bit of heat to release the Loctite. That's it going down there now, and that bearing there, they're the bearings right in there now that I just persevered a little bit. So I don't Loctite the bearing in, I do Loctite the housing into the case, and hopefully that will relieve the binding problem I was having. I don't think the bearing was pressing right down into the housing when I was assembling it. Now it does at both ends, and so it'll give a little bit of play. So I've got a couple of shafts there that now run fairly true. That one's still got a bit of a wobble in it. Letting that slow down and to a stop. I've got this piece of 12mm ground bar Loctited into this aluminium sleeve with a afterthought grub screw, and then trying to get them to run true, I put 4 scrub screws into the small shaft in the end of the motor there to hopefully act like a 4-jaw chuck to get those to run truer. Again, this end there's 4 screws again up that end, and a screw here to help with the Loctite, hold the shaft in place. This end seems to run within 5/100ths of true. It'll be interesting when the blades are on as to how much that all shakes. Not so visible to the eye that that's running out of true. But anyway, I got the motor spinning properly. The bearings were binding. I've relieved that situation. Okay, I've got my motor shafts in place there. This frame that the motor sits on is still dirty. I'm going to give it a clean and ultimately a spray paint. Okay, as I break for dinner tonight, I've got 2 of these PETG wheels spinning. It seems to be doing pretty well. The little rattle is coming from those metal discs that are just sitting there. They need to be on the shaft before the drums go on. So there, the drums painted up. A couple more end rings over there. So fair old breeze being blown out here because it's a centrifugal, sucks the air in the end there. Only now, after days pissing around with this, it looks like I might have some success. Won't get my hopes up too high until the whole machine's running. Get out to your shed and have some fun.